Hey team, Angus Strachan here, and welcome to the Film Slice Podcast. I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Cane Dogs.
Thank you.
And Birdman. How are we, lads?
Pretty good.
I've never been more good.
Perfect grammar there.
I think I've got a bit of a stomach bug, actually.
You got a
bit of a parasite.
Oh, that's great, because that's what this movie review.
That explains why you
episode
look
is
like
about.
that, actually. You
Yeah.
should see a doctor.
Yeah, the one eye thing. Okay.
Classic. Yes, this week we are reviewing the Oscar-winning Parasite. 4-time Oscar-winning, actually.
4-time
movie
Oscar
Parasite.
winning.
Just because you watched the Oscars
Yes.
4 times, ain't that's not how that works.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be 5 soon.
Tonight, it'll be 5.
Yes, that's it. Directed by, where's his name again? Bong Joon-ho. What a legend. Let's get into it. Would you watch it or not?
Watch.
Or stream?
Or stream is the other
streamer?
one. Or
I
just
say
play with streamers.
Watch it. Go to the cinemas and watch it.
Watch. This is tough for Jordan. I have no idea where Jordan's going to lie on this film.
Look, I'm going to say...
I don't think he's going to like it.
I'm going to say... If you're interested in seeing the
doesn't
film
like it.
that won the Oscars, watch it. But if you have agreed with me over the past films and you're kind of not sure about this film, I wasn't a big fan. I'm going to say don't watch it.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was watching it, I was like, I don't think this is very Jordan.
It's not my cup of tea.
movie-esque. No, it is very like art housey and kind of very indie, and it's very much an ode to filmmakers and everything. Like, you could unpack this movie until the cows come home. Like,
What a great
in
name
that
for
sense,
a film.
yeah,
What a great name for a film.
I mean, it starts at the name and it just kind of keeps on
Yeah.
going and keeps on going. And we could probably talk. Well, I could probably talk about it forever.
I could talk
But
about
we
it
won't.
for about 8 minutes.
Basically, we see in the trailer, it's about this family that's kind of very low on the social ladder, social class, like very poor, scrounging for jobs, and they somehow are able to infiltrate.
They kind of weasel their way in.
This kind of rich family, and then they, try and
Humans.
Yeah,
The only ones
pretty
capable
much.
of weaseling. Except for the weasel.
Hence the title Parasite.
Parasite.
Excellent. Anyone got some cinema dicks before we head into our
Well, shouldn't we
spoilers?
run off in a... Don't we... I can't remember,
Aren't we meant to
be
do
honest.
our initial thoughts?
Aren't we meant to be doing initial thoughts? And then also, I guess we've kind of done that.
I think we've
Are we doing
kind of done initial
the
thoughts, which
plot
is kind of
thing
why-
One of us
where
says the
Jordan
plot?
says the plot at the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, I
do
just
we
said
do
the
that?
plot, but yeah, we could go
Angus is
Cane
really
Dogs.
rushed.
Okay.
I feel like Angus is really just like, you know what? We're just going to cut to the end.
No, that's fine.
Anyway,
We can cut
thank
all
you
this
for
out.
listening
We
to
can
the
cut all this
podcast. We'll see you next week when we review something else.
We can cut all
You
this out.
guys just take a long time to do everything. Like, I've breezed through it all already, and you already want to go back and do it again.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's
You're
fine.
choosing to do a podcast with
Cane Dogs,
two other people.
what's this movie about?
Okay,
Cinema
well,
dicks. There are no dicks in my cinema. That's pretty much all I got to say about that.
I do have cinema dicks.
All right, whip them out.
All right, so I think one of the big downfalls of this movie for me is that I feel like there's a lot of scenes that were meant to be very suspenseful, very dramatic.
Yep.
We're meant to capture some sort of like, either a fear or like a thrill from you. But unfortunately, I
Anxiety.
sit next to a bloke who found every aspect of this film, scene to scene, fucking hilarious. And as a result, he laughed at every scene. Like,
I think
no
it
matter-
was funny. Like, there's definitely some funny
there's-
bits in it.
There's meant to be humor in this film, but none of that landed because every scene was contrasted with this guy laughing. So there's humor in this film, but most of this film is suspense based. And through every moment where there could have been suspense, the guy was like, ha 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 ha, and it was just super off-putting. And as a result, I didn't really connect to anything happening in this film for most of it because none of the mood really set in for me. Thanks to the prick next to me. And then on the other side, there were a bunch of girls, and they were on the other side of the spectrum where they were overreacting to everything. So anytime anything happened, they're like, oh my god! And that was also super annoying. And as a result, between those two things, I just was annoyed rather than really appreciating any of the emotion this film was meant to bubble up inside.
Fair enough.
Fair
enough.
Yeah.
Birdman, no cinema dicks?
None.
I had a cinema dick. I was in the extreme screen cinema, so more seats than normal. Someone had bought a ticket not right next to me, but one seat away from me. And I'm like, that's kind of annoying. Like, I'm right up the back. I'm not even in the best spot. I'm like, I'm going to go right up the back because I'm not sure if it's scary and I'd much prefer having a wall behind me. Anyway, that's besides the point. This guy sat one seat across from me, and I was
He
like,
wore a Michael Myers mask the whole time.
Yeah. He gave me very murdery looks. No, he as soon as the movie started, as soon as it went down and like the music kind of rose, he opened a packet of crisps and just started eating, and he is the loudest muncher I've ever seen.
I was going to say, like, he is the loudest motherfucker. He's the loudest muncher.
And he was just munching all the way through the movie. But I was unwilling to move my seat.
So, talking about because I went to your cinema this time, Angus, and I tried to book seats, and I don't like sitting next to, like, right next to someone. I'm the type of person who tries to leave a couple of seats between me and the other people.
Did you bring your girlfriend? Did she have to sit a seat away from you if you don't like to sit next to someone?
She waited in the car. Elise came.
Okay. Different road.
So it didn't actually allow me to select seats not next to someone. It's like you're not allowed to leave a space in between you and where someone else is sitting.
Yeah. It doesn't let you put one space. It lets you put two. It's a minimum of 2.
That's the freaking worst.
Well, the idea is that generally not a lot of people go to the movies by themselves. Generally, it's couples.
I understand the idea,
that,
but
then,
still, stop trying to micromanage my movie experience, all right?
Just sit next to someone. The seats are so wide anyway. You're not
we have a
touch
whole
them.
segment dedicated to how other people are annoying in movies. I don't want to be forced to sit next to them.
That's fair.
But it's good for the segment.
No, it isn't.
Anyway,
I do
moving on.
have a little story. There was a guy who ambushed me out in the woods and he had a knife, and he came at me and he ripped all my clothes off. And so, so that happened.
Okay.
That's a little in-joke that no one else besides me and Brody will get.
I also don't get it. Was that in the movie or is that a non-related thing?
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
I mean...
Oh, what a cool sound effect, Angus.
That's right, that's a spoiler alarm. We're now in spoilers.
Spoilers.
Anything goes, boyos.
Anything goes right now. At the end of Endgame.
No, about Parasite.
Parasite.
Endgame has been out for like a year now.
Before we get into it...
what's in the
Mail.
box?
Mail.
Right, what's in the mailbox? It really works when you bring your headphones, guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone got anything in the mailbox today, boyos?
Well, actually, Elise is here at the moment. Elise. What did you think? Hold on, come here. Hold on.
The voice was great.
What? Okay, thumbs up, thumbs down. Did you like Parasite? Thumbs down. All right, cool. Clarified.
Thumbs down. We've got one thumbs down.
Thank you for not proving that you exist.
He was
weird.
just talking,
he's just talking to a wall. Wall.
How do I think I did this last time. How do I do the Facebook thing again?
Fuck, man, you just hop on Facebook.
You go into Facebook.
I'll look it up on my computer. Oh!
3 engagements.
We've got 19 people reached. 3 engagements. Yeah, baby. I don't know what the engagements are, though, because it doesn't look like there's any comments.
I got engaged.
We've got 1 heart from Jesse Richards.
Oh, good on
Thanks,
you.
Jesse Richards.
Jesse did like this film.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure when he wrote in for our
he was
best
his
of,
favourite of the
That
year.
was his best, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Why 3 engagements, but only 1 love heart?
I have no idea what it means.
everyone else
no
ignored it.
one knows.
Facebook is stupid.
Yeah.
Follow us on Instagram, please.
Facebook is stupid. Follow us on Instagram.
What's up, Slices? Sorry for the quick interruption. Angus Strachan here from the future of this podcast. We did, in fact, have someone write in to the mailbox. So thank you, Connor Kelly, who says, it was good, but I don't think I'd ever want to watch it again. The last half an hour is insane. Not sure if I can go through that again. Overall good? I think? Still not sure. I already know how this podcast goes, so I know that a few of us would agree with you. Thanks, Connor, for writing in. If you guys want to hit us up, get into the podcast, make sure you follow us on Film Slice Podcast, on Facebook, on Instagram, all that jazz. Maybe Twitter. I haven't checked Twitter in a long time, though. So, yes. Anyway, thanks. Sorry about the interruption. Back to the podcast. Okay, here we go. That's one. That was
what's in the
mail.
box?
Now,
Now,
Last week,
Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
promise was made to bring back the best of segments that we've ever come up with. Slappity number time, ouch. If you've never listened to an episode of our podcast with the great
Elisa's ears just
Slappity
picked up.
number time, ouch.
She wants to see someone get slapped.
Yeah, okay.
again,
So-
just talking to the wall.
No.
So, we start off with a round of verbal rock, paper, scissors, and then we go into a little guessing game where Jordan and Angus have to guess the number between 1 and 5. If they guess the wrong number, that is the wrong number, they get slapped.
Wait,
And that's-
if they guess the wrong number, that is indeed the
Yep.
wrong number.
If they guess the right number, they don't get slapped.
Wait, you've changed the rules around.
You have changed the rules around.
No, that's the exact same as
Usually,
it was.
no, if you guess the right number, you get slapped.
No, if you guess the wrong... Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did
Yeah.
put it down. Yeah.
Don't fucking change the rules on me. I've been training for this day. I've been guessing the wrong number all week.
How's that going for you?
Yeah, I didn't pick a number, so ultimately I've always been wrong.
I have picked a number. If you guys guess that number, you get slapped.
Roger that. All right.
between-
Rock, paper, scissors.
1 and 5, including 1 and including 5.
All right, now Angus, if you win, you're not allowed to guess until he's picked the number because he did that one time. Threw the
He's just said
statistics
he's
out.
picked it.
Oh, you've already picked the number. Okay,
It
great.
is in my phone.
All right,
Then
ready?
I'm listening.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Okay.
Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, rock.
Jordan put out paper,
Yeah, but it's audio.
said rock.
It's audio.
It is verbal rock,
Yep.
paper, scissors.
Like you-
So we're going to have to play that again
So I
because
can do
both of them
whatever I
said
want with my
rock.
hands.
But that was hella confusing.
Rock, paper, scissors, scissors.
Jordan has put out a rock and he has said
No, I
scissors.
put up my finger.
I know.
Oh.
I know.
Oh, shall we go again?
Yes.
Okay.
You both said scissors. This time you have to do the hand sign that you say.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, scissors.
Fuck yeah,
Jordan
motherfucker.
wins.
Oh,
He
wait,
gets
I
to
don't want to
choose
win.
first.
Oh.
As in this game, you... Oh, man.
1,
No.
3,
No.
2.
No.
4.
Yes.
Damn it!
Angus, you're getting slapped.
All right.
Jordan?
Yeah.
If you will,
Yeah, let me think about this.
slap Angus.
Can I fetal position?
you
I'm
can,
thinking-
whether that's a benefit or not.
I'm going to go for the inside of your arm.
Ooh.
So if you could do
Weirdly
a muscle,
personal.
like a muscle pose.
Yeah,
That feels really
that is
personal.
weirdly personal.
I'm trying to find interesting
Uh,
places to slap
Is he
Angus.
allowed to declothe me though?
I'm just
I'm
moving
gonna say
his sleeve up.
I'm gonna say no.
But I want the sound of that. Don't you want the sound of the slap?
It will benefit the podcast,
It will
Angus.
benefit the podcast.
I'm just.
hey, thank you.
Jordan has slid Angus's t-shirt up.
You ready?
Weirdly
My dick!
special place.
It's incredibly. I've just been thinking about fun places to slap Angus. Last time I got to do it was the
Aren't
forehead.
you glad that I'm really bad at this game?
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm
have the
probably
worst
about.
luck.
Yeah, I think I'm probably about 80%.
You're really good
winning.
at guessing the right number.
Yeah, I was
Angus.
gonna say.
If this ever flips around like I almost did,
and
you're gonna do so well, man.
And then you corrected him to flip it back. Oh, okay. Well, that was fun. I
Very
like this
good.
game.
Slappity number time out.
Let's never play it again.
Here for the next 3 weeks.
I
like-
know if I want to promise that.
I like my odds.
You do have pretty good ideas. To be fair.
Sweet. All right, let's get back into it. Parasite, the movie. What was? Let's start with the worst
The
about the
worst
film.
of the worst.
Okay. Why are you swapping it around?
Just cause, just
Yeah.
for fun.
It's just because you want to talk
It's
about more of the
what
good
it's-
stuff.
I think
which means
yeah,
I have less
because I
to
have
say.
a lot more of good
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
it's
Alright,
Swapsy
fine.
Roundy Day.
All right. Well, you guys go first then.
Okay, so what was the worst?
Yeah.
I think this movie probably just dragged on a little bit. It's kind of not your normal structure. So like in a normal movie, you've got the 3-act structure, the I forget the names, but the beginning, the problem, and the solution, kind of.
Yeah.
Whereas
That's exactly
this,
how it goes. Yep.
Whereas this
Introduction obstacles.
this movie
conclusion, yeah.
kind of almost
Resolution.
has 2 movies within itself. So
Yeah.
it's a bit tricky to kind of follow the story and kind of figure out how long you've got left of the film. And not that like you always want to know how long you've got left of the film, but it was just dragging on a bit for me. I think.
After
I
about
would
20
say
minutes, I was waiting for the end of the
Yeah,
film.
if you try to peg it into the 3-act structure, I would say that the resolution is very long in what I would say, in like going into that sort of structure. The
Yeah.
introduction was very nicely quick. But yeah, it is. I understand what you mean. It does drag on just a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of things about Bong Joon-ho that he's very kind of almost musical in his editing. Like he likes to drag out things and make sure that it's kind of, it has enough time
to breathe.
To breathe. But yeah, the only problem with that is if you start with that that kind of tempo, you kind of got to follow it all the way through. Yeah, that was my negative anyway.
No, fair enough.
Roman.
Ooh, rough.
Did I steal your negative?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say, I was gonna say the ending was a little. It felt a little bit like I usually steal all of Angus's ideas when we go. So this is a nice little turn.
Feels good.
I don't really know what I would throw into negatives here. It was a pretty good viewing experience, to be honest. Jordan, jump in.
I'm gonna take
I'll have a think about it.
Yeah, I'm going to take this opportunity to list more than a couple because I have far less to say in the positives than I do in the negatives. This is on behalf of people that went to see this film and just didn't enjoy it, because I'm sure there's at least a handful of people out there like myself and like Elise and like a few others that came out and just went, I don't get what the hype's about. And that's how I feel, is that I'm like, yeah, it's fine. And for anyone that's like, oh, I just doesn't like reading subtitles, I'm happy to read subtitles. I'm happy to read a movie that doesn't have explosions and punching.
You do read a bit slower.
I did. By the time I got through the first scene, the credits had rolled. I just screenshot. I just screenshot with my phone the first two scenes, and then by the time I decoded that, the film was over. But like, no, I don't dislike this film because it wasn't loud and explosive-y. I'm happy to watch an art house film, and I'm happy to watch films that are subtitled. But just as a film, this was super boring for me. Very little happened that I didn't expect to happen. Very little really happened in the story in terms of how long it went for. I feel like there was really only one main sort of general problem and solution that really occurred within the film, and the rest of them were kind of minute. And within the story itself, there's just so many things that require you to just not think about in order to enjoy the film, and I couldn't help but think about them.
Yeah.
There's a scene where the daughter works her way in to be like an art teacher kind of deal to tutor the child who is sort of like a bit crazy and out of control, and somehow he's just super relaxed and calm and like nods and says thank you and all of that. They don't explain how she's fantastic at that. The dad is like, yeah, I've driven a car once for like 6 months as a job, but then later you see him like driving the car and the guy's holding a coffee and he's doing an exquisite job. It's like, you just showed us that. Why are they all of a sudden just experts at all of this crap that they're... Because the whole point is like they're scamming their way in, but also... Yeah, but it's like they're not so much con artists as more they're just inexplicably good at all of this stuff without that being explained. And it not only did it drag on, but I just wasn't interested in any character. I didn't get enough information on any character to really be drawn into anyone. Yeah. And as a result, by the time the sort of midway through the film, I figured this is going to end definitely with at least someone dying. And once we find out that there's a cellar underneath, I'm like, someone's going to end up in the cellar. I sort of figured that sort of stuff out through the film, but I realized I couldn't give a toss who out of anyone in that movie died.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. Like, I would definitely agree. I was going to bring it up, I guess, in the positives, but might as well talk about it now. There's
not a main protagonist specifically.
Yeah, a lot of Bong Joon-ho's other work. He did Snowpiercer, if you're unaware.
But Snowpiercer has a very direct protagonist.
And other things, they're more based on society and social structures and stuff as a whole. Like he does kind of go in deep with that kind of really broad view, like broad sense of
he has a lot of subject matter in there. Sure.
Yeah, and he kind of, so he doesn't, it's not really a character piece. Like this movie definitely isn't a character piece. It's more kind of a critique on society as a whole. And I guess the only problem with that is what you said, Cane Dogs, is there's not really anyone that you want to root for. There's really. There's a lot of people that kind of, they have redeeming qualities, but then they kind of mess it up, and actually they're not really that great, or
even fleshed out. Like, there's just so many characters in here who are like single digit. They're like, this is the character and she can be described as a bit dumb. That's a whole character. Like, that's the whole thing.
It's tricky if you're not doing a character piece, which you do kind of lose, I guess, some other elements of it, of the movie. So it's kind of that balancing act.
That, and the message that I like, look, I know that you can read into it a lot deeper, but the top message from it is just, as you said, like, it's talking about social classes, that, like, you know, the upper class tend to not respect the lower class. and the lower class tend to underlook the effort it takes maybe to get to the upper class, and sort of the lack of respect between those two classes and how dire situations can get when you're under stress. That's kind of the message, but as a result, this film just did for me at least, it did the most surface level description of that. Of just like, well, the people that are rich are posh and they're literally completely unlikable on all aspects. And the people that are like sort of lower class, you just can't trust them and they're super shitty all the time. And it's like, this did almost the opposite for me. Instead of me being like, this is a great sort of look at social classes and sort of being realistic, it was just like, you've just exaggerated both sides of that spectrum to almost undermine both, which is how I saw it. And so when I took those, the fact that it was boring for me, where nothing massive really happened when I expected it to, and I guess because this is a massive Oscar film, I went in with very high expectations, because I'm clearly in a very minute minority here, but I was waiting through the whole film to be like, all right, well, at some point, the penny's going to drop and this film's going to be amazing. And it just never happened for me. Like, I was like, all right, we're nearly towards the end. Something's going to happen and I'm going to be like, oh, wow. But no, just didn't happen for me.
What about the reveal of the second family living?
See, that
like
was,
the husband
and that was a big reveal, but I
downstairs?
called that as well. I called that basically when the maid came back to the phone. I was like, okay, cool. At that point, I figured it. I was surprised by there being a cellar. That surprised me, but not enough for me to be like, all right, film made. I was like, okay, there's the first thing that's happened in this film that's caught my interest.
Yeah.
And they did nothing with it. And then, sorry to go on, but I'll have very little to say in positives. There's this weird part in it where in the cellar, there's a button that you can push and it turns the light on up top. And it's like, that's how you do Morse code. And the guy's been down there turning on the light for the, the rich father guy.
Yeah.
Who designed that? That's such a weird story element to have if you think about it. That's like me being like, yeah, there's a switch in my room and when I turn it on, my neighbor's porch light goes on. Why? Like, I get why it exists for the story, but it doesn't exist. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. There's a button in there. He can use Morse code. Who invented that?
Yeah.
Why is that a thing?
Let's jump into positives.
Absolutely.
K-Nogs, would you like to reel off your positives so that we don't steal them?
I think, firstly, the father of I'm just going to call him the Parasite family because it kind of makes sense than to be like the lower class family.
The Kim family.
Yeah. The father, I think, did a great job. Generally speaking, he was probably the most, I'm not going to say charismatic, but he caught my attention the most. He was the most interesting to me because he's a character that like consistently was referred to as like kind of having a plan. Because of that, you sort of read into, although he doesn't use a lot of facial expressions, you're consistently wondering what's ticking on in his head.
Yeah.
And that I found very gripping and interesting for me. And I think the other big positive that I have is just this film looked amazing to me. Like everything in it was shot incredible. There are so many shots that just don't look like things that I see in films anymore. It looked like people took the time to frame it right, to make sure, like, it's the kind of film where I don't think there was just a bunch of people putting stuff on coffee tables and like there's like 30 lamps in the room just so it can look like a house. Instead, it felt like everything that was somewhere, someone had meticulously thought that out.
Well,
that came across.
Jumping on that, they actually created from scratch most of this movie. So like the bottom, the basement cellar.
They grew 9 people.
They grew the actors themselves. No, they built all that from scratch. The main kind of alleyway that they lived down, that was all built from scratch. Even the mansion, they kind of built that from scratch as well because the director had a very kind of specific idea in this that he...
I think that definitely comes across. Is that he knew exactly how he wanted this film to look and that was so succinct for me.
I would just like to bring up how much ego you must have to wear a t-shirt with yourself on it. I just really want to...
Not wearing a t-shirt.
Bring that up.
Angus, right, okay.
I just realised that Angus is wearing a t-shirt with himself on it.
It was a Christmas present from
Angus
my
is
sister.
wearing a self-branded
It is a very nice
t-shirt.
present, but it is... Man.
Put it this way, Angus. It's fine for you to wear it, but if I wore it, Brody'd kick the shit out of me.
Put it this way, no one else would wear it. So
I'd wear a t-shirt with you on it.
I'll let my sister know she'll print one off.
Okay. I mean, I'm going to do horrid things to it, but I'd wear one.
Oh, what?
Well, that just caught my eye and I was like, wow.
I think
Not just Angus, but also a picture of his car.
Yeah. What I'm most known for, my belongings.
My belongings. The hat that I wear backwards.
Jumping back on that, the director is also very nice. I've watched a lot of behind the scenes for it. It's like
tell.
a fantastic to watch all the behind the scenes of this, like the amount that he's kind of gone through it and thought about it all. His directing style is very specific, so he'll draw out every single shot that he wants in the movie, and he kind of knows that once he's got the movie down, that's how it's going to be shot, to the point where he was giving every single actor their direction and doing it for them, so that they just had to copy them, and like that.
That's a bit of a taboo when it comes to directing. Usually
I like it because he wrote it and he directed it, and this is his vision from start to finish. If it was a collaboration, if he was doing someone else's story or that kind of stuff, I'd probably agree with you. But I think having such a succinct idea of what this film is, and like the product being an Oscar winner, is it's pretty awesome.
I think there's two sides to that coin. On one side, I absolutely understand where you're coming from, Angus. Is that it's his idea, it's his creation. He's trying to bring something to fruition that's very special and important to him, and he knows exactly how he wants it to look. And on one side, cool, and that's 100%, and gave him the Oscar. And on the other side, from like an actor's perspective, where it's
that sucks.
All right,
so
you're going to show up. What do you want me to like? Do you want me to sort of get into the mind? No, you're literally just going to mimic what I do every day for the next 6 months.
I mean, the actors still have to add their bit to it.
Like, but they're not going to bring really like there's zero.
That's
of
literally
their own
like
kind of flair that they can bring.
That's like number one, what not to do for directing. It's like seriously, I'm taking a directing class right now, and like in our first class, it was like, don't do this. And it's just like,
if you want to win an Oscar. Other best things about the film?
I absolutely loved the entire flooding sequence in the film. I loved the rain pouring down. I loved how it suddenly went from, this is kind of like an indie film. Oh no, this is a massive, big budget. This is an entire block of a city flooding, like 3 feet of water, people floating on it, stuff coming out of houses. So the water pouring into their house, their little basement house that they have. I absolutely loved that scene, and it felt so natural going into it as well. It wasn't just one of those like, oh, this is a big set piece suddenly in this thing. It was just like, no,
it felt natural.
It felt natural, and then, but it's also amazing like work, and you look at it and it's just like, this is an entire street that has flooded, and there's people floating on it, like being pushed around, and all of this stuff floating in the water, and it's just like, wow. It was just one of those moments where I was like, man, to make that would have been insane.
I absolutely loved, I think that particular scene, while we're on the positives, I really enjoyed that scene probably most of all out of the whole film, because it really did do one thing well, which was show the contrast of like this rich family, they're kind of sleeping and getting a bit handsy on the couch, and their kids outside in like a tent that they've built on this lovely lawn, and there's a storm, but like, they're there, they're watching over him, they're having a great time, bit of a snooze. And then like the lower class family have to leave the house, run through the rain, and their house is flooded, their whole neighborhood is flooded.
An excellent metaphor.
It shows
so perfect. At that moment in the story, it's just like, this family's now like they're literally like
in the shit.
They're in the shit, and they're like flooding,
and
it was just like, oh, that was such a perfect moment just like to show that.
One of the big motifs of the film is obviously stairs, right? So the lower you are, the worse off you are. Of so course, like they're in like the half basement kind of thing. You're like, that's the lowest of the low. And then you find the people that are living underground with no sun, and like, actually that's lowest of the low. And that scene with the rain, it does kind of reinforce that fact that they're at the top of the hill, like they're enjoying the rain at its purest form. But then as soon as it kind of comes down and runs down, then it starts getting diluted, and the water gets really dark and murky. And
it's great like that's also kind of like segmented in the very first scene where they try to reach up to get the Wi-Fi. It's like try to get high, get that Wi-Fi signal and stuff like that. Yeah, it's so good. I think the reason that so many people like it is that it's connecting all of those things that we're talking about with the cinematography and the acting and like pretty much like all of like the metaphors of what's on screen. And I think that's why people like it. You can make a film about social classes, but to make a film about social classes where every single thing is adding into that, even the beginning and the final shot of the film, like sinking down from the window of the outside, is like that's difficult.
And it's just good creation all around. Like the cinematography was amazing, the editing was amazing, all that kind of stuff. We're kind of running out of time, but other really good things which I encourage people to check out is there's a montage in the middle. You might have remembered it. Basically, it's where they decide to get rid of the previous house maid, and it's
that
like
was
Peaches
weirdly
and stuff
Ocean's
like
10 though.
that was a really awesome montage, and there's some really good things online that are like dissecting it and everything. It's really interesting to see how far people get into it. The other thing that we'll kind of, I guess we'll end on is the ending. So after everyone dies, or two people die,
sure.
The daughter and the rich father, it kind of ends with the Kim family's son figuring out that his dad's actually in the basement, and it kind of, you're like, okay, there's a bit of hope there. And then he kind of goes on this kind of tangent of like, yeah, I'm going to earn so much money and all that, and I'm going to be able to buy this place. Like, hang in there, Dad. And it kind of shows it's like this kind of dream sequence of like, yeah, like time has passed. Like,
if they had ended it there, I would have fucking hated this film so much.
Like it fades out, and it almost fakes like that's the ending, but then it comes up and it kind of pans down, and you're like to him, and it ends on a very kind of ambiguous kind of a note. One thing that we all miss because we don't speak Korean is the song.
Oh, that's what you think.
At the very end of the movie, once that final shot comes down of the son just kind of not knowing what to do, the song that runs through the title sequence, that son, he actually sings it, and the song's all about the rest of the storyline.
Really?
So he kind of sings about what happens, and basically the idea behind it is, I forget what it's called, but it's something like 560 years, which is mathematically how many years it would take that person to earn enough money to actually buy that place.
Oh, okay.
So like,
based on what? Hold on, that's a very obscure connection.
The director helped write it.
Yeah.
And so with the idea that he was keeping his job, so he wasn't going to uni, like he said. He wasn't.
Which job?
The pizza packing job, or just like a basement, basement job in.
I don't remember him having a real job.
A basement job in Korea.
He also had the job of putting up the posters at the end.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So just like, minimum wage kind of a job. Okay, it would take him 400, 500 years to earn enough money to buy that house, or to be able to afford that house.
Sure.
Which, again, is like just another...
We're taking into account inflation. I just want to understand... No, I'm kidding. Move on.
Yes, we are going to move on.
I really like, at the end, that bit where he's fantasized about saving his dad. Because that kind of dream is very much like... Everyone has that dream. It's like, when I get rich, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. It's like, it's why people buy Tesla lotto tickets and stuff like that, right?
And watch Disney films, and like that was a very Disney-esque ending.
Next to anyone watching Disney.
Okay. Sweet, that was our review of Parasite. I liked it too. I thought it was fantastic.
Speaking on behalf of all the people that went in and came out and they're like, why don't I
on behalf of all the people you haven't talked to.
If for some reason you need to write an essay on a movie, this is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Sweet. Next week we'll be reviewing another movie, probably not as good. Next week on the Film Slice Podcast.
Oh no, not
Stay
Brody.
with me, goddammit. Stay with me, you're gonna live.
Nah, go towards the light.
Stop stepping on his dick.
Sorry, that was just such a good cinema dick segment.